I had a friend over today, and we were on a subject that was quite interesting. And one of my responses was, it was about life. We always talk about life. I was forgetting the topic, the actual topic. We talked about so many things, but one of my responses, I was reflecting on something that had happened to me in the earlier years of my life, and it was about running. I had a cat that I loved, and it was outside, and it had kittens, and I had run over her. And it really shook me up because I was relating myself to being the most wonderful animal lover in the world, and how could that happen to me? And that was the subject, I guess. The subject was things happening for no apparent reason. And so we were talking about trusting life, which came down to trusting ourselves, but it was just about things happening, or wondering if things happen willy-nilly, and and people get hurt, and there's no reason why, and it's because there's all possibilities that exist, and it's just one of the things that happens. But anyway, I was reflecting on this story, and by the way, that's not an answer. I just was kind of giving you the gist, or we're just talking, or I'm just reminding myself of the gist of our conversation. And the idea that, how could this happen to me? And the story in the earlier, and before I ran over the cat, when I got in the car, my husband had said, "Don't honk. You don't need to honk. The cat's going to get out of the way." And of course, I believe that. But I honked every time I went out of the driveway, but this time I didn't. And so my thought was, okay, thinking I'm taking responsibility, I can either blame my husband, not really blame, but be upset for him telling me not to honk, because I didn't honk. I went out of the driveway thinking, well, I don't need to honk, because he had just reiterated that I don't need to honk because I always did. And he thought that was not good, or not necessary. And so I didn't honk and ran over the mama with kittens, whom I loved dearly, and was taking care of them, and loved every minute of it. And I had to find homes for the kitties and kept one, but nonetheless, I didn't get over that incident or I guess I'm still getting over it right now, just talking about it. So thinking I'm taking responsibility for myself, I'm saying I should have listened to myself and honked. And I shouldn't have listened to my husband telling me, don't honk, it's not necessary. And so this is what I'm telling my friend as a response to, things happening that hurt. I responded that I shouldn't have listened to him, that I should have just done what I knew to do. So it was about placing blame on him or me. And the minute I gave her that answer about that from myself in that experience, I had a knot in my stomach. I was like, this isn't right. Because I was being truthful and open about how I felt about the situation, but that's not right. It's not right or wrong, but what I'm saying is, that's not me now. And so I really believe in synchronicity, and at this point, and when anyway, taking it deeper from this time of my life where I can take it deeper. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to do that during the visit with my friend, but anyway, taking it deeper, when I ran over that kitty and I got out of the car, I was just, well, before I ran over the kitty, before any of that happened, I was in a turmoil in my life. I was already had a knot in my stomach. I was uncomfortable with the situation, the demanding life I had been living. And I hadn't been giving myself enough time to do these reflections or think about anything but doing. And it was keeping me from a part of me that I knew was missing. And I journaled and wrote about it all the time, but it was coming out negatively because I was in my journal complaining about how I was missing something and how I wasn't able to express, and on and on and on, complaining, and not knowing what to do about it. So I was already in a turmoil when this happened. And yes, I am an animal lover. They're innocent, and we, especially dogs and cats, they're innocent and we take care of them. They're not like animals wild. They've been inbred, and that's a whole other story. But nonetheless, I had the turmoil before, and that was what synchronicity does. I was not open. I was not open to receive fully. I was restricted, constricted, closed. And so that's my understanding now. And I'm sure I can go deeper. Not now, but maybe in a future moment. But right now, this moment, I see that that was a synchronicity drawing to me something that if I had been in my full heart, wouldn't have happened. Not that, it's not a blame thing. I'm just examining synchronicity and depth and being closed and restricted, and how big that is, and yet how hard it is to talk about and explain. In a life. So once my friend left and I had time, and I've immediately sat down and reflected on that answer, because that responsibility that I would have taken back then was on myself to do what I said or what I think I should do. And the understanding now is that life brought to me life from a restricted, constricted resistance place. So life just wasn't full at that moment from my perspective. Therefore, I was creating that for myself. So, that's a big step for me to see. So I am seeing some good changes. They seem far and few between. But hey, who's counting? We all seem to be, or I even seem to be sometimes in a rush. But that's again part of that conditioning. And so, got to slow it down, stop. I got to slow it down, stop and reflect, and that's what I'm doing.